Hey everyone, I'm Dave DeVito. I'm a real estate professional here in Fairfield County, Connecticut. I am really excited for our upcoming event for the Connecticut Real Estate Mastermind on June 5th here in Westport at Lendmarq, 290 Post Road. So, really happy and really looking forward to having Ian Gottlieb here. Ian, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
Yeah. And so, you know, the topic that we're going to be talking about, which we're really looking forward to your expertise at the event in a couple of weeks, is about novations. And, at the Connecticut Real Estate Mastermind, we're really trying to help educate people on how to get deals done creatively. And like as I always say, deals aren't found, they're created, right? And especially in this really competitive marketplace where all types, whether you're a consumer or whether you're a real estate investor, trying to get a deal done that makes sense for both sides is really a complicated task these days. And novations, as you know, Ian, I know you know this, but our audience probably doesn't realize that novations are a really valuable tool that's becoming really popular to help really structure the terms of a deal, because obviously price is very important, but terms are also a very important part of the deal. And I'll let you talk more, but quite frankly, two of the audiences that are really making good uses of novations right now are real estate rehabbers or flippers that are using innovation to really help make the numbers work for both their sellers as well as the deals so they can make a little bit of money. And then also wholesalers, which is going to allow them to get a little bit wider of a stretch. And in a nutshell, novations, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ian, is just basically a legal way in which to kind of like amend a contract in a similar fashion to kind of like, get to the closing part of the deal. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you could talk about and your views on novations in the real estate industry right now?
Sure. We're in a really weird time real estate wise. There is not a whole lot of supply, but there's still plenty of demand. Rates are still high, and there are still deals that are available. Unfortunately, they have to be put together in such a way that it benefits everybody. So if you are looking as a wholesaler to put a deal together, each deal is going to be unique in its own way because we don't know who the end buyer is going to be. We don't know how that deal is going to have to be structured. Is it going to be cash, seller financing? Uh, Once we know what the specifics are, we're able to put the deal together. But sometimes if you're dealing with a end buyer where you have a lender on the end, you're not going to be able to do this with an assignment fee or a fee paid to the by the buyer because it won't be allowed unless they have cash. So when you're dealing with an ovation, you want to make sure that as the wholesaler that you're getting paid for doing that novation and giving that deal up essentially and taking yourself out of that transaction. So what we're going to focus on is uh, a specific type of novation, whether in general, where it's a very simple one, whether it's seller paying or buyer paying, but how to structure it for particular deals. There are some that are just standard fare. There are others that aren't, and we'll be able to get into specific scenarios where a novation would be useful, as well as who's going to pay for that.
Wonderful. Talk to us really quickly, Ian, about how a real estate rehabber might use innovation in a way that's going to help them save on closing costs, holding costs, and so on and so forth. So again, maybe pay the seller a little bit more and still make the deal work for an investor trying to make a little bit of money as a rehabber.
We're talking about a fix and flip.
A fix and flip, yes.
So a fix and flip, it's going to depend largely on the fix and flipper's ability to close on that transaction, so to speak. So in other words, they might be able to hold that contract, reach an agreement with the seller that allows them to fix and flip it without taking any type of financial burden other than the fixing and flipping it. But there are going to be some other caveats that they're going to have to worry about, such as who's doing the work. Are there going to be mechanics liens on the property? If the work isn't going to be paid for until the very end, then we've got to take that into account as well. But that could be a situation where the seller will step into the role to pay the wholesaler or that the person doing the fix and flip at the end of the transaction instead of the buyer. So there are ways of structuring these deals to protect the fix and flipper. But again, it's always going to be on a case by case basis.
Makes sense. Every deal is different, right?
Every deal is different. Everybody's
Exactly.
unique in how they approach it, and the goal is to make it work for everybody. It's when you try to get too creative that you run into problems. So the goal is to just keep it simple, make sure there's transparency on all ends, and there are going to be no problems.
I couldn't agree with you more. And that's a great kind of promo and intro. Hopefully, people can make the event. Looking forward to spending some time with you on June 5th here in Westport, Connecticut,
Sounds good.
at Lendmarq. So everyone register. You'll probably be able to find some links down below to this post, and we look forward to seeing you on June 5th from 5:30 to 8:30 at Lendmarq in Westport, Connecticut for the Connecticut Real Estate Mastermind.
Yeah.
See you
Thank
there.